Hi, this is Todd Harris, and I would like to talk to you about outcomes and measures of the Orientation Leader Training Program at Methodist University. The Division of Student Affairs at Methodist University is responsible for the planning and execution of new student orientation, often referred to as NSO. Orientation leaders, known as OLs, are upper-class students who lead new students during NSO, which is the 3 days just before classes begin. They apply and are selected for the position during the spring semester prior to the next NSO held in August. Before the spring semester concludes, the OLs receive a general overview and become acquainted with one another. However, it's in August, just before NSO, when the OLs receive their thorough training. It is the orientation leader training for which these two learning outcomes are developed and measured. The OL training program prepares the OLs to lead small groups of new students as they engage in icebreakers and team-building activities. They are the face of the university and have to provide 5-star customer service, which requires them to be prepared to answer questions about each NSO session, as well as many aspects of campus life. The OL training program has been in place for several years, but it has only been in the past 2 to 3 years that it trained the OLs to take such a pronounced leadership role. In years past, the OLs did not interact with small groups in a mentoring capacity the way they do now. Although the OLs will learn or enhance a number of different skills, the two that are determined to be most critical include group facilitation and customer service. I decided to create these learning outcomes because they address the more difficult aspects of working with students while also establishing a positive impression of the university. Group facilitation. The OLs will be trained on how to facilitate each activity while having several spare activities available if time permits. As I recognize that it can be difficult to get a group of 18-year-old students who don't know one another to interact, the learning outcomes will specifically focus on 1. Creating an inclusive environment, 2. Keeping discussions constructive and positive, 3. Encouraging students to participate, and 4. Learning strategies for handling difficult behaviors. Customer service. Although we typically don't like to use the term customer service in student affairs, customer service concepts are critical for setting a tone that reflects favorably on Methodist University. When creating this learning outcome and adapting it to a university environment, I developed several specific concepts to learn that include 1. Techniques for communicating with students and their families. 2. The capacity to provide accurate information and obtain answers quickly. 3. A willingness to put in extra effort to assist students and families. And 4. Understanding basic cross-cultural dialogue. I believe the best way for me to measure if the learning outcomes were met will be by using a focus group. It will give me the opportunity to listen to the voices of the OLs and dig deeper into any issues that they experienced, both positive or negative. I can hear directly from them about how they grew from the experience and whether or not they believe the training adequately prepared them for the experience. The questions that I will use will be designed to examine perceptions, feelings, attitudes, and ideas that will help me gauge if the learning outcomes were met. I will inform the students that their feedback will help us shape training in the future. Some potential questions related to the group facilitation learning outcome may include: were you prepared to facilitate your group? Which activities got your students talking and interacting with each other? Did you ever hit a roadblock, and if so, how did you handle it? What is one technique or piece of advice that you would share with a new orientation leader to successfully facilitate a group? Some potential questions related to the customer service learning outcome may include: were you prepared to answer most questions from new students and families? If you did not know an answer to a question, could you quickly get the answer you needed? Did the customer service role play demonstrate an effective way to engage with new students? And were you prepared for basic cross-cultural exchanges, particularly with international students? In general, when preparing learning outcomes that are designed to enhance communication and connect students to one another, it's best to measure the outcomes by communicating and connecting directly with those who were trained.